I have been making videos for more than 2 years only to see results like this. Demonetized channel, barely getting any views or even subscribers, and even worse, this was my editing back then. But 2 years later, I discovered a secret, and with that, I started fresh and managed to go from 0 all the way up to 4,000 plus subscribers with only 3 videos, and that is under 90 days. And my secret was indeed my editing. From videos looking like trash that barely gotten any views or subscribers to a point where I managed to grow my own audience while making thousands of dollars. So today, no matter the level that you are in right now, I'm gonna share with you guys these 7 secrets that I learned that will help you to make people addicted to your edits. Trust me on this, because I have been on your shoes, or maybe even worse. Mastering smooth animations is one of the most important skills that you want to have when you are making videos. You see, from the videos that I have watched and also from the experience that I have, it's not about how many flashy effects that you can add to your video. It's more about how smooth you can make your animations and your edits and learning how to have flow to your video. So the question we have right now is, how can we make these smooth animations? So you need to break this down into 3 main things. First thing is, you need to master how to use the graphs. Basically, there are 2 main graphs that you can use, which is the speed graph and the value graph. So these are the 3 graphs that you will need when you're starting out. So when you're doing start animations, this is the graph that you want to go for. When you're doing end animation, this is the graph that you need to go for. But there is another graph called mid graph. So let's say both of these 2 graphs does not work for your animation, then going for this mid graph will give your animation a much more smoother look. So once you master these graphs, next you need to know how to have a flow to your video. When I'm talking about having flow to your video, it's all about having motion throughout your video, and the way that you can achieve this is basically through overlapping keyframes. It's me on the screen, and I'm gonna explain what this overlapping keyframes means. So if you take a look at this simple edit or this simple animation that I have did, all I did was I just followed the basics. So now let me explain this using an example. So this is a really simple animation that I have did for a circle. So when it comes to overlapping keyframes, this is what I have did. So if I just pull this layer like that, as you guys can see, I have these keyframes and I also have these 2 keyframes. As you guys can see, at start I have this simple animation, and also I have another scaled in animation, and the reason why this animation looks smooth is because I just overlap the keyframes. So let's just imagine I made this animation by basically moving these keyframes right at this point. So now if I play this animation, this is how it will look. And the reason why this animation looks a bit weird is because there is a harsh stop in between the first animation and this scale out animation, right? So this is a common mistake that many editors and many people do when they're actually making their animations or their motion graphics. They just make the first animation or the first set of keyframes, and they make the second set of keyframes at the point where the first keyframe ends. Rather than just placing your keyframes like this, just make sure that you actually overlap your keyframes so it actually looks something like this. So now if you play this, it will have a much more smoother look because there is no point where there's like harsh top. So now if I just go to the graphs, as you guys can see, this is the graph that I have used because this is a out animation, and this is the graph that I have used for this set of keyframes because that is an in animation. And again, these are the basics. So those are the basics that will help you to make really cool and really smooth edits and animations just like this. And there's another problem many of you guys might be thinking, and that is, if you animate the scale property once, how can you animate it again so you can actually overlap the keyframes? Add the transform effect and then animate the scale property through there, and that way you will be able to overlap your keyframes just like this. And the same thing goes for Premiere Pro as well. When you are animating in Premiere Pro, all you need to do is just go to effects and add the transform effect, and go to effects control, and you can just animate that just like that I have did in After Effects. Just make sure to increase the shutter angle so you will get the real smooth motion blur, which will help you to make your animation look a lot more smoother. So that is all you need to know about the basics, how you can overlap the keyframes and how to use the graph. So now let's quickly jump back to the video and continue. And the third thing is, you need to have continuous motion. So what I mean by this is, rather than just leaving your animation as it is, try to add a little bit of shake, or try to add a little bit of scale out or scale in animation to your final edit. And once you master all of these 3 things that I have just told you, you will be able to make edits just like this. Secret number 2 is captions. I've already know that you heard this millions of times from many different people, but trust me, captions is one of the most important things that you can use in your videos to actually stand out from the competitors. So for me personally, I love making captions and I love being creative with captions, which allowed me to make captions just like this. So the way I do my captions is really simple. Of course, you can do this with the old school method, which is going to Premiere Pro and auto transcribing the captions and just editing it. But trust me, there's not so much of control when you're doing this within Premiere Pro itself. So instead, try doing this. All you gotta do is go to this website called vid.io. And no, I'm not sponsored by this website in any sort of way. I just love using this website for my captions. So once you're in this website, just upload your voiceover and let it generate your subtitles. And once you have your captions, you can just choose from any preset that you like. But of course, I have my own preset which I have made from my own branding. So once you make your own custom preset for your subtitles, just export it. But before you actually export your video, make sure you add a blue background behind your subtitles. So go to elements and then you can drag and drop one of these solids, scale it up, and then you can export it. So once you export your captions, open After Effects, drag and drop the file, and then you need to remove the background using the color key effect. Once you actually remove your background, it's all about being creative and using some creative effects to make it look original and to actually fit your brand. Try to make your own style by being creative with some of these effects. So if you're looking for some effects, the first effect that I can give you is the deep glow effect. So just add the deep glow effect to your subtitles, and maybe you can also add a little bit of turbulent displays, some radial blur to actually get some really cool subtitles ready to use in your videos. So if you're making long form videos, you can just be creative, and rather than just making your captions like this, you can make your own background, or maybe you can animate it and just be creative with using captions. So these are some examples that I have made using my captions. So if you want to stand out or maybe to impress your clients, try using these caption styles in your edits as well. Speaking of captions, the next secret is text. Trust me, texts are literally one of the most important things in your videos. But if you want to actually be unique and stand out, you can do this in a more creative way. So when you're making text, these are the 3 main things that you should do. First, we need to make our text actually stand out. I'm sure you have seen Mr. Who's the Boss videos. In all his intros, you can see how well and how creative he uses his text to actually hook you into the video. So when it comes to actually making these texts, it's really simple. And you may think that you will need Photoshop to actually do these text animations, but all you need is After Effects. So in After Effects, once you make your text layers, you can actually access layer styles right in After Effects without actually going into Photoshop. And many people do not know about this, and even though some of you guys know about this, many of you guys do not actually use this feature. And if you actually become creative, you can make really cool text layer styles to make your text stand out. And if you want these presets, just make sure to check the description, but just know you can actually make them by your own. You can also go a step further and you can maybe add some textures, overlays, and just be creative with what you have. So once you are done with making these text layer styles, the next thing is to actually animate this text. And the easiest way I like to add motion to my text is through the Animation Composer 3 plugin. This is a free plugin that you can download, so just download the plugin, go to presets, and make sure that you add this preset to your text layer. Once you have done that, just make sure to copy down these settings, and then it will give you this really subtle kind of like a floating effect to your letters. And I'm sure you have seen this effect in many different videos like Mr. Who's the Boss videos as well as Isaac's videos. And this is a really underrated editing trick that you can use to give motion to your letters. Once you have done that, next thing is to actually animate this. So for me personally, I use this Text Evo plugin to animate my text animations. But of course, there are many built-in presets in After Effects that you can use in your text animations. So if you're using the Text Evo plugin, all you got to do, just click on the plus, which will add these 2 keyframes. Once that is done, all you got to do, go to Effects Control, and then you can play with the position, the scale, the rotation, and any properties that you want to animate. Once you change those properties, it will give you a really clean animation just like this. And another thing that I like to add is I like to lower down the opacity to 0%, and also I will add a mask around the text to give this really fade in and really clean effect to my text animation. But as I have told you before, you can also use the custom inbuilt presets, and the preset that I like the most is the glitch preset and the typewriter preset that comes in After Effects text which you can use in all your text animations. But when it comes to Premiere Pro, you can actually do this, but there's not so many controls you can do in Premiere Pro. Essentially, there's only two ways that you can animate your text in Premiere Pro. The first way is using the Animation Composer 3 plugin, and the next way is using the Essential Graphics. But if you actually want to stand out, then make sure to use After Effects, because with After Effects you can be really creative and you can make really eye-catching text animations. So once you're done with the text animation, the next thing that we gotta do is we need to stylize this text even more. So the very first effect that I would recommend you to add is the deep glow effect, and then you can add some chromatic aberration, some warp, some radial blur, and just be creative and try making your own style. Secret number 4 is your editing style. This is one of the most common problems that every content creator and every editor face. So if you're someone who actually want to make your brand look unique, this is the way to actually come up with your editing style. So when I made my editing style, these are the 4 steps that I followed. So the first thing that you need to do is you need to get inspired. You need to have enough ideas in your brain to actually be creative, so you can actually come up with something unique and original. So the way that I like to do this is through Pinterest and YouTube videos, or any sort of way that you can get inspired from. It can be through, again, YouTube, Instagram, TikTok, or whatever the hell you have. Just try to get inspired. So at this point you need to have a pretty good idea about what type of a person you are and what type of videos that you are actually making. So once you have enough inspiration, the next thing is to actually come up with your theme. Hey, it's me again, and I feel like it's a bit too unclear about the second step. So once you have gathered enough inspiration, the second step is to actually decide your theme. So when it comes to the theme, there's 2 things that you need to consider. The first thing is the mood that you want to promote from your editing style, and for the mood it changes from video to video. If you are making one type of videos, then you need to have only one mood, but if you are making, let's say, documentary videos, it changes from video to video. So first select the mood that you need to promote from your editing style. After that you need to decide your theme, and for the theme it can be anything. It can be a vintage theme, a cinematic theme, whatever the theme, you need to decide that. Select the mood and select the theme. So once you have those 2 things ready, you need to go where you have saved all your inspiration posts and videos, and you need to sort out these posts and videos into things that actually matches the mood and the theme that you have selected. And after that you need to make a separate artboard. After that you need to put all those posts and videos that matches the theme that you have selected into that specific artboard. So you have 2 artboards to get inspired, and another artboard with the theme and the mood that you are going for with your editing style. And after you have done that, the third and fourth steps will actually help you to make your editing style stand out even more. So let's again jump back to the video and continue. When it comes to me, when I started my editing style, I wanted to be professional, and I also wanted it to be engaging and playful at the same time. And the way I managed to find balance between those 2 themes is by basically combining the fonts, the colors, as well as just getting inspired from other creators. And those are the third and fourth steps when it comes to actually coming up with your editing style. So make sure once you select these fonts, you are not making too many changes to this. And when you're selecting your color scheme, do not try to overcomplicate that. Maximum I would recommend you guys to go with 4 colors and use some colors that can actually match your theme. But I know some of you guys think these are some basic steps, but trust me, it's all about getting inspired. My editing style is not something that I just came up right out of my head. It's something that I have been working on for quite a while now, and in the future I might change it to something else. So all you gotta do, try to combine all different type of styles into your own style to actually stand out from the competition. And that leads us to the 5th secret, which is sound design. Sound design is probably the most important thing when it comes to actually content creation, because the music you choose will actually make a huge impact. And again, I know you heard this like millions of times, and since many of you guys actually know about music and sound design, I'm not gonna stretch this too much. Just make sure that the music that you're using actually match up with the mood that you're going for, and also make sure that the sound effects that you're using does actually match with the animation, because sometimes you may feel like some sound effects will not fit in the place that you have actually put it on. Change it and see what actually works. Make sure that you're spending well enough time in sound effects and selecting the right music. It will actually make a huge impact in your overall video. And if you want some free sound effects to use in your videos, just make sure to download my free editing pack. And the reason why I'm not gonna talk too much about sound design is because I will make another video just focusing on that. So now you might be thinking, what is the 7th step? Well, it is all about my free editing pack. Most of the things that you need when you're starting out as an editor or even as a creator are included in this free editing pack that you can download right now. So make sure to download this free editing pack, and I hope you gathered so much knowledge from this video, and I will see you guys in the next video. Peace out.